Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
Sometimes I can be pretty perceptive. All right, we're going to play a game before Clack comes on. So, and these are not all great teams, but there are no perfect teams in the NFL. The Eagles are about as close as you can get. But some of these teams have massive holes. And my take is, if you've got a star quarterback like Matt Stafford and he's old, yeah, you need to fix the hole. So we're going to play panic or patience. Are you ready to go?
I think so, yes.
All right, let's play this for 4 or 5 minutes.
All right, so, Colin, we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens. They got embarrassed by the Lions. They're 31st in scoring defense.
Yeah.
Should the Ravens be panicked or patient?
I think they have to make a move at the trade deadline. You watched Detroit run all over them. Well, who's their big rival in the AFC? Kansas City and Baltimore and Buffalo. James Cook and Buffalo can run and keep the ball away from Lamar Jackson. This is a great offense. But you watch Lamar Jackson on the sidelines against the Lions. That's what Buffalo has the ability to do with their James Cook-led run game and their excellent tight ends. I think they have to make a defensive move at the trade deadline and give up something on offense.
All right, let's go to the Chiefs. Their offense is anemic, 21st in scoring. Colin, should the Chiefs be panicked or patient?
Panic, because this is Travis Kelce's last year, and they don't really have a receiving core to build around. So don't waste Mahomes' talent. Right now, they have no run game. Kelce last year, cross your fingers on the maturity of Rashee Rice. So I think they have to look strongly at Tyreek Hill. Again, is it a one-year deal? But this is Travis's last year. He will be in the biggest games ready to roll and block, which he wasn't early in this season. I think you need to make a move at the trade deadline.
Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers, they spent all that money on defense. 31st against the run, Colin. Should the Steelers be panicked or patient?
I would be more in the panic mode. I think this is Aaron Rodgers last year. There is no guarantee you get a quarterback as good as Aaron Rodgers next year. The O-line is inexplicably bad again. Najee Harris is gone. Caleb Johnson could be a miss, could be a whiff. If you didn't go get Aaron Rodgers for a 3-year plan, it was a 1-year plan. Fix the offensive line. Go get a very good running back on a bad team at the trade deadline.
All right, both of us like the Bills to win the Super Bowl. However, after 3 games, they're last in rush defense. Now, some of that is Derrick Henry and Lamar in the opener. Should the Bills be panicked or patient?
I think they need to make a move defensively. They are terrible on third down. And by the way, the best teams in this league, Eagles, Lions, Ravens, Rams, some of the best teams, they all have excellent run games. Again, when you have a star quarterback, how do you lose? He is like Lamar Jackson, watching the game from a bench. I think Buffalo, maybe they move they have 3 really good tight ends. Could they move a tight end to get an interior defensive lineman, give up a good tight end and a draft pick? I think they need to make a move.
All right, your boy Bo Nix, we need to have a real conversation eventually. He's got an 83.4 passer rating, lowest graded starter among PFF quarterbacks. Should the Broncos be panicked or patient?
Patience. Here's their upcoming schedule. Bengals, Jets, Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders. He's going to have a 98 to 103 passer rating. He's going to be just fine. Tough early schedule. For the record, struggled last year in September. Take a deep breath. Have patience.
Saquon Barkley, Colin, they're 3-0, but he has not gotten off to a good start. Panicked or patient over Saquon?
Patience. The Eagles have 130-plus rushing yards in every game. Remember, look at all his touches last year. Look at all his touches. So take a deep breath. I think, needs a bye week. Could they rest him for a week against an easier opponent? They'll be fine. But I do think there's a little fatigue from last year's heavy workload.
For sure. Packers lost to the Browns. Panicked or patience?
Patience. The Browns' scoring drives were 4 yards and 16. They were on the road. Jordan Love threw his first bad pick in about 10 games. This is a great team that had a bad Sunday and really a bad fourth quarter. Green Bay is fine.
The Rams gag away a huge lead against the Eagles. Just a collapse. Should they be panicked or patient?
A little panic here. A.J. Brown is a problem. They don't have size at the cornerback position. And by the way, they have not drafted in the secondary. Outside of safety, Cameron Kitchens, they have not selected anybody in the backfield in 5 years in the first 3 rounds. They have kind of neglected this position. They should have gone after it, I think, last year in the draft. They did not go get a top corner. So they've got a lot of smaller, middle, late round defensive backs. And, Amon St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson. A lot of these teams in the NFC have a big, tall, rangy number 1 receiver. I think at the trade deadline, they got to give up a pick and go get a top corner.
Finally, C.J. Stroud, he stinks. Should the Texans be panicked or patient?
Patience. First of all, their O-line the last 2 years is arguably the worst in the league. Joe Mixon's hurt, so they have no run game. So, listen, like most young quarterbacks, it's circumstantial. He's very good early. When his first year, he had a good O-line, healthy receivers. They've had massive offensive injuries. He has still world-class precision. Take a deep breath on Bo Nix and C.J. Stroud, the Green Bay Packers. Take a deep breath. But there are some really good, like Buffalo. The way to beat them is the way Detroit beat Lamar Jackson. I would give up one of my tight ends in a draft pick to fix the interior of my D-line. So I think this Sunday, week 4, is kind of the last week you can fool people. I think you kind of know by the end of week 4, you kind of know what everybody is. Again, you can fool people a lot longer in college football. The coaching's not as good. The quarterback play is not as dynamic. But in the NFL, you'll get exposed really quickly. Dallas now starting to get exposed. I think people are sleeping on Denver. Denver's schedule gets really easy. They could reel off a 7-game winning streak. They've opened up with, and Bo Nix struggled last year early. So I think there are some truths through the first 3 weeks. I think by the end of this week, week 4, you'll kind of know what everybody is and what they're not. We're already seeing teams like Buffalo can't defend the run. Problem. Rams struggle, probably need a corner. They didn't draft one. They probably should have. They probably need to make a move if they're going to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I was saying, like with the Chicago Bears, what are they? Well, I don't think the symmetry between Ben Johnson and Caleb has been as good as I thought it would be. Caleb still is freelancing too much. Their defense has not been great. So I said before the season, I thought I was really optimistic saying 9-8 because I was giving them a 3-3 record in division, which they just don't do in the last decade. But now they're 1-2. So what have I learned? What have I gleaned in the first 3 games? Well, their offense is so talented, they will beat bad defenses. Dallas is a bad defense. If you start looking around the league, they got 4 or 5 teams here. They're probably going to do well at Cincinnati. I can see some W's here. But this morning I went back and I looked at every single game and I revisited my 9-8 prediction. Here's where I would be on the Chicago Bears. I think they beat Vegas, but it's really close. Lose at Washington, beat the Saints at home, lose at Baltimore, beat Cincinnati, beat the Giants, lose at Minnesota, close game, beat the Steelers at home, lose to Philly and Green Bay on the road, beat Cleveland low scoring at home, lose to Green Bay and at San Francisco, and Detroit could very well be a playoff team. I could see Detroit. I have predicted the Lions make the playoffs, resting some starters in the final week. I could see that. I don't think Detroit's going to win the division. They'll have to play in the first round. My take is they're a physical team. They'll be a little banged up. They'll protect 4 or 5 starters, not everybody, and they'll beat a depleted and resting Lions team, and that record would be 8-9. So that's what they would be, an 8-9 football team. Again, I said coming in, I didn't see them as a playoff team. I said, can we get synergy, harmony, chemistry? Can we get that with Ben Johnson and Caleb? So far, it looked really good for Dallas for big portions. It looked good for a series in the first 2 games. So I don't think that's unrealistic. I think that's where they are. right now it's where they are. They're going to beat weaker defenses and go either way games at home, but I don't think they can win on the road at Washington, Baltimore, Minnesota, Philly, Green Bay, or San Francisco. Now, they get Green Bay at home. We'll see. I don't think that's negative. I said happiness is directly connected to expectations. So,
Can I ask you something about that? So if you look at that schedule, Colin, that opener against the Vikings was such a swing game. They were dominating for 3 quarters. If they win that game, I am fairly certain your projection would have been like 11 wins. Because if you could beat a good Vikings team, right? We think the Vikings are a contender with that defense. Then maybe some of these other games, like maybe you sweep the Vikings. Maybe you don't lose both games to the Packers, And there's a world where, you face Jake Browning, that, catch a break there. But I don't know, are you sure they're losing to Washington for sure? Is Washington that good?
By the way, if we'll say this, if it sounds crazy, but the Ravens defense is so suspect.
Yeah.
They may, Baltimore is going to keep you in games because they can't stop the run and they're weak on the back end. That's why I said we played panic or patience. Like, if you have a great quarterback, like Lamar and Josh Allen, the only way to beat them, if you think, is to keep the quarterback on the sidelines. And so Buffalo's run defense and the Ravens' entire defense is trouble. That's why last year Burrow was statistically arguably the best quarterback in the league, couldn't make the playoffs because he was sitting watching games. And so to me, I'm the Rams. Let's get the Bears schedule out of there. I'm the Rams. I have Matt Stafford. This is arguably, I think Stafford's going to play this year. They're going to draft a quarterback, sit him behind Stafford for a year. So I got Matt Stafford for probably 2 years. Who gets banged up? I'm going all in because there's a likelihood that even if I draft a quarterback that works, he'd be 2 to 3 years before he's Matt Stafford pre-snap. So my take is now with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, I have a much longer timeline. But my thing is, when the only way to beat the Buffaloes and the Baltimores. Now, Kansas City's interesting. This is where the Chiefs have a lot going for them. Kansas City's defense is great. So when they get Rice and Worthy back, their time of possession will improve some. They won't be as bad on third down. They're not going to be a great running team this year. They're not going to be. So my take on Kansas City is their defense will keep giving Mahomes chances. And if Rice and Worthy and Travis Kelce in big games, that's enough to win playoff games.
Okay, let me ask.
That's why the Chargers and Herbert now are scary because their defense is unbelievable. And that's going to give Herbert 2 to 3 more possessions, longer drives. Hampton now is coming into his own as a running back. So the Chargers are interesting. If you don't love an offense, what's the defense look like? If you love an offense, Baltimore, nothing kills a great baseball team like a bad bullpen. Baltimore's defense, you can't win a Super Bowl with that defense.
So let me ask you regarding the Bears. If you're inside the front office, polls and everybody, you're huddling around the table. Guys, Cowherd says we're going 8-9. Okay? We know our internal, we know what we've got here. We're not making the playoffs this year in the NFC. It's stacked. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze is emerging. Luther Burden played well against Dallas. Why don't we just move off DJ Moore to a team that, like you said, is panicky and needs a receiver? Let's try to get a
No, I've said this. That's the move. They've got 2 good tight ends, a capable running back, O-line commitment. DJ Moore feels invisible, and Rome Odunze, Kmet, Colston Loveland, Burden, and they've got another backup receiver that's okay. My take is I would consider moving DJ Moore. First of all, you got him on a steal. Remember the deal they got? It's Ryan Pohl's best move. I would now consider moving him because he also is a veteran player around a lot of young guys. And I think DJ Moore looks around the league and think, why am I not as productive as some of these guys? I'm way more talented. Not that he'd be a bad locker room guy, but I think DJ Moore wears his emotions sometimes in his body language.
Listen, he's a veteran. He's quality.
He's very good player.
Hot takey. If I'm the New York Giants and Daboll and I see, shucks, man, I'm starting a rookie quarterback, and some of the numbers for rookie quarterbacks starting in their first year, not great. Gee, I'm on the chopping block. Let's bring in DJ Moore. Let's just invigorate the offense. We got Neighbors. We got Moore. We got Cam Scatterbo. Let's go all in. Do you think the Giants are a team that would go after more, or do you think they're just saying we're done, we're cooked?
No, they're still in rebuild. They need draft picks. No. I mean, they're left tackle.
What good is a draft pick for Brian Dable? He ain't going to be there next year.
Well, I think if you made that kind of move, you'd probably have to go upstairs and get approval. DJ Moore.
Give me a team. I was going to think the Denver Broncos. Hey, Bo Nix is on the struggle bus. Let's get him a possession receiver to go opposite Cortland Sutton. No,
they have Mims and Franklin are both good.
How about Seattle? Look, I mean, I don't know that they do it, but JSN, and then there's a huge drop-off. Huge at wide receiver.
They like that kid out of Colorado State, the 5th-round pick.
Come on, one game.
The rookie. He said, no, they like him. I'll throw one at you. Kansas City.
Yeah, but they got Rice coming back. I think they're going to
win. But you can't depend on Rice. Well, maturity issues.
Worthy and Rice.
I would say DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore to Kansas City is interesting. And by the way, you're making a trade. The Bears can get DJ Moore to the other conference.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Okay, and then I think DJ Moore. I think with Tyreek, you've always got stuff. DJ Moore's kind of a quiet guy.
Let me give you Buffalo Bills. The wide receiving core is not. I mean, Keon Coleman has shown a little bit. Shakir's more of a slot guy. No, I know they like the 2 tight ends, but why not?
I think, again, if you've got an old quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford, and you think you could be a playoff team, make a move. Or if you have a great quarterback and you're like, yeah, our defense has a hole. I mean, Buffalo. You're only going to get about 4 more years of Josh Allen at this level, like absolutely devastatingly in his prime. Kansas City's down offensively. Baltimore's defense stinks. If I'm Buffalo, I look at the Ravens defense and the Chiefs offense and say, this is the year. I'm not giving this year up. I'm making a move. Ravens defense will never be this bad again, and the Chiefs offense won't stink like this. Well, this will be good stuff. A decade in the NFL, 4-2 career playoff record. He's become a great broadcaster for us at Fox Sports. Mark Sanchez is now joining us live, as he often does on Wednesday or Thursday. He's got the Jags-Niners. We'll get to that in a second. I want to start. You covered Jackson Dart gets his first start. You covered him in the preseason. So what are realistic expectations? I don't even know if their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, will be healthy. That would worry me. What are realistic expectations for Jackson?
Yeah, I think that's the way to frame this entire game, making a start against a top 10 passing defense. And Jesse Minter, this defensive coordinator for the Chargers, he's got his team dialed. And so I would expect early completions, some slants, some screens, some play actions to build his rhythm. And don't forget, his mobility is legit and often underrated. He plays a lot faster than he might look on tape. So I'd expect some of those design runs that he's already come in and used these first couple games when they've subbed out Russell Wilson to get him in, to get some experience. But this Giants offense has its fair share of struggles, especially if you don't have your left tackle, especially with all the turmoil in the receiver room. I'd expect I'm not expecting him to win the game. I'm just expecting him to get his feet wet and, most importantly, stack some completions and protect the football is really all I'd like to see from him this week.
Justin Herbert was good last year. He is different this year, and that's having lost a really good left tackle. What's different? What are you seeing that's different? And maybe game planning, scheming, something feels different.
Well, I think last year they really emphasized that run-first culture, and we're going to pound the rock. We're going to be ground and pound, which is fine. And they only allow, I think he threw the ball like 21 times a game through his first 3 games. Now he's thrown it like 38 pass attempts a game, and he's showing this offense really is built on his arm. He's got, over 70% completion, 7 touchdowns. So they're leaning on him, and he's playing the most confident I've ever seen him play. He's decisive, and then you get the splash plays that we used to get even when he first took the field as a rookie, when they weren't even expecting him to play all those years ago. You still see the plays, the play rolling to the left, arm, kind of halfway, 3/4 sidearm around a player to his guy in the end zone. I mean, there's not many humans on the planet who can even come close to executing that throw. So he's in rare form right now. And, the rushing attack has kind of taken a back seat, and everything flows through the quarterback.
As you know, the opinion of a quarterback in this league can change with a bad half. It's unfair, but, the media's loud. It's the one sport in America everybody watches. I always liked Carson Wentz, and then the late, great Jim Irsay, he had a bad game in Jacksonville and said, get him out of here. And it's like, timeout. He had 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. It was really, really good. And in Philadelphia, he got hurt. He was going to be MVP. I couldn't pull him out. I think right now, today, I couldn't pull him out if I was the Vikings. What say you?
Well, the biggest stat that I saw, and I had to look at my phone for this because this came up in a group chat, but the Minnesota Vikings are 15-3 when Kevin O'Connell has a ginger starting at quarterback. So 83.33%. That's all I know. But on a serious note, he provides stability while J.J. McCarthy is developing and coming back from an injury. He just kept it steady, and Kevin O'Connell clearly knows how to communicate with his quarterback. He gives you, your expectations, his expectations, finds a way to merge the two. And I don't think, Kevin made the comment in his press conference that, hey, as soon as JJ's healthy, it's not just, okay, he's playing tomorrow. I think if Wentz keeps winning, there's no reason to pull him. And it's really about the timing of McCarthy's transition and reassimilation back as the starter. But as long as this guy's playing well, I got no issues with number 11 starting for the Vikings.
I always liked Sam Darnold. I think you did too. But I do think, I said this, I think Sam needs structure. I think his DNA, he's a little reckless. So he does need structure. Like, we're going to throw it 28 times. We're going to lean on that run game. And that's not a knock. Outside of Josh Allen, the whole world does. So I like what Seattle has created for him. What do you see?
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think he's right around the 29, 30-ish number of attempts per game, a lot more towards the later half of last year when he was in Minnesota starting for the Vikings. But that's okay. They have a two-headed rushing attack in Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Their offensive line is still starting to gel, and especially those interior guys. Remember, they've gone through some turnover at the center position and then some young guards really stepping in. So the easiest thing to get continuity for your offensive lineman is to let them fire off the ball and establish the run game. Now, Sam knows how to get in and out of good runs. And if there's no way to run the ball, he's going to find a quick, easy throw. And, oh, by the way, he's got a heck of a slot receiver in Jackson Smith and Jimbo. This guy's he's turned into an absolute superstar. And you saw it in college. You saw flashes of it a little bit as a rookie. Remember, he started his rookie year. He broke his wrist and just wasn't quite sure, didn't quite get his footing. And then last year, and especially this year, he's absolutely exploded. And then you see big Leonard Williams. I mean, just add him to the list of New York Giants that suddenly leave the New York Giants and then become superstars somewhere else. It's don't forget about my man, Danny Dimes. He's balling out too in Indy. We got those guys in a couple weeks.
Yep. So we'll get to the Jags-Niners game. I like San Francisco in that one. When quarterbacks come out, Mark Sanchez, for our radio audience, I usually have a comp. Okay, who is he? I thought Sam Darnold came out. I said, he's not Andrew Luck, but he's a little Andrew Luck. He's big, he's tough, he can be a little reckless, but he's a playmaker. I never had one for Baker. I thought he was a little cocky. He was a little emotional. Yeah. I didn't really, he was like, I don't know what he is. And here he is all these years later, and I'm genuinely happy, crushing it. What do you make of his development?
Well, just add him to the list. Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, all these guys who end up in other places, and they still have plenty of tread left on the tires. They just got to get to the right fit. And I think we're realizing that the fit and the scheme is more important than the draft slot. And so he's playing so well. He's got that fire and intensity that he plays with. Maybe early on people thought, oh, he's just cocky. Oh, he's just a young kid. He's immature. He's this, he's that. That's truly his authentic self. He is an absolute psycho on the field. and he has to temper that a little bit. We actually had him on our show on Rear View, NFL on Fox Presents Rear View, and we talked to him yesterday. It comes out today, and he's one of my favorite guys to talk to. He's a guy's guy. You want him leading your offense. You want to go have a beer with the guy. He's funny. He'll make you laugh. He can get serious. He genuinely cares about his teammates. And I think you see all that through the interview. And one of my favorite questions that I got to ask him, I just said, has anybody reminded you that the last two coordinators you had in Tampa are now head coaches? I mean, you got those guys a lot of money.
He did.
Dave Canales and Liam Cohen. Those are two head coaches now in the NFL. I said, do you get any Christmas gifts? Do you get a holiday card? Are they sending you wine, cigars, something? And he goes, that's a good point. I don't think they are.
Hope he kept their number.
Don't forget about that, buddy. Yeah, don't forget about that, because you're putting people on the map. And when people around you are doing well, that obviously says something about your own performance. So Baker's having a heck of a year.